Okay, so now it's the next day, and I just woke up, and this is what I look like when I just wake up. These first moments when I get up are not they're not my best. When I tend to wake up, I tend to have a few hurdles that I have to overcome before I can really be a person of any type of real functioning. When I tend to wake up, I'm like so thirsty. Um, and so I have to drink water, but I guess that's probably pretty normal for most people. But for some reason, for me, it feels like a chore, like I shouldn't have to do. And I kind of like hate having to do it. And for me, when I get up in the morning, a lot of the times I get up and it's like I'm not quite ready to be alive yet for a few hours. Uh, uh, but there's also a feeling like I can't quite sleep. It's a weird feeling for a bit where I'm kind of stuck contemplating my existence without any real amount of energy to take any action. Quite an unfortunate state of affairs. But eventually, eventually I look at the clock and realize, oh wow, I've been laying in bed for an hour. And then my heart will start pounding. And then I'll start to say, well, I can't keep living like this. And then I'll get out of bed and keep going. But rarely do I ever kind of experience that feeling that things are just somehow right where they're supposed to be. And perhaps the reason that is because I've created a certain image of what I think things should be. And if I don't achieve that, then what I'm feeling must be wrong. But perhaps what I have to reconsider is maybe it doesn't really make sense to say what I'm feeling is wrong. Because what you're feeling is it's your body telling you something. And sometimes we create stories around what we are feeling to try and make sense of it. Those stories might not always be the truth. Those stories might not always lead us to a helpful lifestyle. Uh, it's May 17th today. I don't have any exams today. Today I'm just going to study. It's 7 a.m. in the morning. This is the first thing I'm doing today. I'm worrying about if I can do what I need to do today. Um, but I'm not quite worrying as much as you think I might. If you were to look at who I was, say, a year ago, it seems I may have maxed out on the my capacity to worry. You see, at a certain point, trying to worry more simply becomes impossible. It's like when you're crying. Eventually, you will dry up and not be able to cry anymore. It's kind of where I'm at with worrying. Um, yeah, that's make of that what you will. And so I I think that today might just be an okay day. I cannot say exactly why I think that, but I think things might be starting to turn around for me. Um, I think that doing doing this every day is good to help me get, get off my chest what's bothering me. And I think there's a particular value of me doing it first thing in the morning when I'm perhaps most emotionally vulnerable. Because I say first thing in the morning, when I first wake up, I have the greatest feeling of, oh, I'm feeling something that I should not feel. I'm not allowed to feel what I'm feeling right now. And that's a combination of like shame and fatigue. It's kind of a self perpetuating thing. It keeps getting worse, but it doesn't actually achieve anything. And that little mental cycles like that are things one should try and avoid. Um, when you have a feeling about a feeling that perpetuates itself and no longer serves you, those those are things you ought to recognize. Um, Another interesting thing about my life in particular. So I'm taking a class called Global, Geographic Information Systems. I failed it twice in the past, but now I think I'm actually going to pass it. And the professor was like, "Oh wow, you're pretty good at this." It's crazy. Like after failing twice, now I'm just like, "Oh, I actually have some skill in this." Um, Turns out that it actually helps to show up to class and do the work. How who would have predicted that? Um, well, yeah, it's sometimes I don't give myself enough credit. I uh, I I'm pretty I've done some things. I've done things in my life. I There are things that I've done that I know are impressive, even if they're not impressive to you. There are not many things like that, but there are at least some. Um, and it's a big problem for me because I'm always kind of double guessing myself. Like I could, trying to think of some scenario. Uh, I don't know. I'm always very vulnerable to someone. If like a group of people have an opinion of me, I'll really look into it, even if it's completely wrong. Because part of my mind is always like, what if my perception of reality is wrong? Um, and that can be a little scary. But sometimes you just have to trust yourself. You just have to trust your best intuition because you know what's going on inside you better than anybody else.